made it to a Friday, a Meat Friday. We got wings on the Traeger coming up. We got a lot to talk about. We got controversy in Green Bay. We got to give out draft grades as well. Chris Sims doesn't like Tua Tagovailoa. He'll join us coming up. Jesse Palmer from the mothership, the former USC and NFL quarterback Mark Sanchez a little bit later on in the program. A somewhat predictable NFL draft got shaken up late last night. A surprising trade and a surprising pick. The Green Bay Packers moved up from 30 to 26 to take Utah State quarterback Jordan Love. History repeats itself. 15 years ago, the Packers selected Aaron Rodgers when Brett Favre was just 35, although back then 35 was old. That's not the case now with quarterbacks. Rodgers sat behind Favre for 3 years. It was a frosty relationship. Rodgers is now 36. Presumably, Love will sit behind him for at least 2 years, maybe 3. Love's got a lot of talent, and I was told prior to the draft, these GMs and coaches just couldn't quite put a handle on how good he is, when is he going to be good, and where do you take him? And you had teams, the Dolphins looked at him. You had teams high in the draft who looked at him to say, can we get him? Where do we get him? And it felt like the Green Bay Packers, when you move up from 30 to 26, that's not he fell into your lap. You went up to get him. That's one thing if you go, hey, he was the best guy on the board, so we had to take him. I get it. Knowing Aaron Rodgers, knowing that personality, he will use this as motivation here. Who made the move yesterday where you went, they have no idea what they're doing?
Oh, gosh, man. I guess the one that just makes me scratch my head the most it's either the Raiders pick with the kid Damon Arnett, right?
Ohio State.
Yes, I like the player. I think he was, top half of the second round, middle of the second round type of guy. But he's a true nickel corner, to my opinion. And, I don't like drafting corners that run 4, 5, 7 in the top 20 picks of the draft. I don't like drafting nose tackles who are 260 pounds either. To me, that's just a no-no. So there's things about his game I really like, definitely. I've really liked everything Mike Mayock has done to build the Oakland Raiders, except for his first picks in the first round the last 2 years.
Well, he had Cleveland Farrell, and you're just going, wait a minute, what are you doing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have got Cleveland Farrell at 34 or 44 last year in the draft.
Yeah.
And they took him off the field in pass rushing situations last year. So to me, a little bit of the draft and the beauty of it always is, and this, is the understanding of where players are going to be picked and the value of picking a player at that spot. I think they probably could have got this kid at the top of the second round if they really wanted to and had no issues with being worried about that. But either way, they fell in love with him. I was a little shocked by that and the Eagles with Jalen Reagor at pick 21.
I have you today, Jesse Palmer today, Mark Sanchez, out of those 3 quarterbacks at their peaks, who had the best arm?
Oh, wow. Damn. Well, I'd like to say I had the best arm. I would like to say that. Now, I'm sure they're going to argue that. That's fine. They're definitely more handsome than me. I know that for sure. Damn, that's a good-looking group you're talking about there. Me and I've been around Palmer and Sanchez a little. Palmer a few times. They're both great guys. And Palmer, funny story, Dan. He's the Bachelor, right?
Yeah.
They asked me to be the Bachelor that same year when I was still the backup quarterback in Tampa Bay, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, "John Gruden will just absolutely eviscerate me and might cut me if I end up committing to the Bachelor." And I heard that.
Wait,
were
you the choice before Palmer?
I don't know, but I know they asked me. I don't know if they were just waiting for one of us to answer or say yes, but that year they asked me as well. And I know I said no pretty quickly, and I don't know if they already had asked Jesse or were waiting for an answer. I don't know, but I know I was in the shuffle.
Okay, but Jesse does it. He's got Tom Coughlin as his coach. You just had Gruden as your coach. If you played for a different team, the interesting part is they asked Chris, and he thought about being the Bachelor, and he was married at the time. That's what I thought was really strange with that, Chris.
It is. My wife would have questioned that a little bit. But it was good publicity. So
if you played on another team Would you?
Yes.
Would
no,
you?
I would never have done it. Never.
Your
Never,
dad.
never.
Your dad would have crushed you.
Right. I mean, I grew up, yes, with Phil Simms, who was coached under Bill Parcells. All right. Do you think that would have gone down? And I'd also say with Jesse Palmer, I don't know how long his career ended up being, but I would question that it might have been shorter than he would have liked because of that. But it worked out nonetheless. He's still kicking butt.
Oh, let's put it this way: he had a longer career off the field.
That's right. He definitely did, and he's kicking butt off the field, so he shouldn't be ashamed for any decisions he made.
Yeah, he did well. All right, we'll go around the room. I just found out who was trading up to get Jordan Love. Todd, I'll start with you. Start in the back row.
I'm going to say the Saints.
The Saints, okay. McLovin.
The Indianapolis Colts.
The Indianapolis Colts. Seton O'Connor Jr. III.
The Jaguars.
Jaguars. Paulie Esther.
I'm also going Jaguars. I think the Saints is a great guess.
The Indianapolis Colts is the answer.
Wow.
Colts were going up, from what I'm told, to get Jordan Love. Knowing his personality, and you, of course, have been around him a lot more than I have, but I've been around him socially, and it feels like football's not a means to an end, that he's not one of those lifers like Breeze or Brady, and I might be wrong in that. And also, I viewed this as, boy, if you want to, the Packers have to understand his personality too. How does this affect him now, these next 2 years? And that's where I think you probably go, okay, let's get this guy. Maybe he's 3 years away. Maybe this really gets Aaron Rodgers pissed off, and a pissed off Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback. What do you think of that philosophy?
Yeah, there's definitely something to that, Dan. There's two ways it could go. There's one, like you said, it could put another chip on his shoulder, and you know how long he's operated with a chip on his shoulder. It goes back to being snubbed out of high school and having to go to Butte College. And then the draft, the whole thing falling, from when he was supposed to be 1 to 24. So the chip on the shoulder thing is definitely there. It could spark him to play his you-know-what off for the next couple of years. But he's also a very smart but calculating guy. And, I'm not so sure that the other side of it might be he might say, you know what, screw you guys. You're not helping me at all here. I'm not saying he's going to ask for a trade or anything, but I don't think it's going to sit overly well. We would hear for years how he was upset that they weren't signing free agents, that Ted Thompson was, not aggressive enough. Well, here's an opportunity, to get him some help offensively after a year in which they come one game away from the Super Bowl, and they do this. I could see him being a little ticked off and not in a good way.
If you need a quarterback in the second round, who are you taking?
I'm going with Jacob Eason. For me, I love the fact playing at Washington under center with a tight end and a fullback on the field. This guy had to play, versus condensed defenses and looks. Took a lot of 7-step drops and play action, and he can push the football downfield. 6'6", 230 pounds. He was the number one quarterback coming out of high school for a reason. He has a lot of talent. He started at Georgia as a true freshman, of course, got hurt, lost his job to Jake Fromm, and had to sit out 2 years between, sitting out at Georgia with the injury and then transferring to Washington and having to redshirt. And I think that probably hurt his development a little bit, but I think he has a lot of the natural tools you need to succeed at the next level. And then I'll say this. I think the biggest story tonight is, where does Jalen Hurts go?
Yeah.
He reminds me a lot of potentially Taysom Hill with the New Orleans Saints. Jalen Hurts, he's an alpha, won 38 games in college at 2 different programs. And I think after the Lamar Jackson phenomenon now, everyone's trying to find that X factor at quarterback that can take your offense to the next level. He's not as dynamic a runner as Lamar Jackson, certainly, but he ran for over 3,800 yards and 43 touchdowns in college. And he's a guy who's a quarterback, but I could see Jalen Hurts playing a little running back, a little receiver, a little special teams at the next level. Doesn't have to play quarterback necessarily right away. And with New England and Pittsburgh and Indianapolis, maybe Jacksonville, there's some teams that need quarterbacks early. So Jacob Eason, Jalen Hurts, I think those will be two of the bigger storylines, I think, at the start of tonight.
Yeah, I hope Hurts gets a chance. I like that kid. The way he handled the Alabama situation, he goes to Oklahoma, proves that he can go into that same system that Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray did and add another dimension to it. I would love to see him in a place like Carolina, where he could wait a couple of years for Teddy Bridgewater, and then maybe you ease him in to the lineup there. But I think there's some fascinating second-round possibilities here. You're so good at this, looking at these quarterbacks and assessing, how good they are and what they need to work on. I'm curious how tough it is, though, Jess, to take them from college to the pros and as they make that transition. Because I can look at a guy in college and say, he's really good. Case in point, Patrick Mahomes. I thought he was fascinating. I had no idea he would be anywhere near what he is now. Whereas Deshaun Watson, I said, that guy's a star. How do you try to troubleshoot this and say, this guy will work or this guy won't?
I think evaluating the quarterback position to me is probably the hardest evaluation of any single individual position, I think, in all of sports. And I just think, Dan, there are so many different variables and factors that go into it, both physical and mental and emotional. If you said of the quarterbacks that got picked last night, who am I least concerned about? I would say probably Joe Burrow out of LSU. I've said this and I'll keep saying it. 13 years at ESPN, he's the most accurate quarterback that I've seen in college football. And I think accuracy is something that you can improve with fundamentals, but ultimately I think it's inherent. And Joe Burrow completing 76% of his throws in an offense where they throw the ball deep down the field and just constantly hitting receivers in the numbers and in the face mask. I know that accuracy is going to translate to the next level regardless of what system he plays in. And then there's a guy like Justin Herbert out of Oregon that's playing sort of in this up-tempo spread offense. There's sort of a lot of dinking and dunking, a lot of screen throws and pump faking guys early to open up more throws downfield. The systematic change for him with the Los Angeles Chargers, that's going to be a whole lot different. And I think certainly scouts looking at him at the Senior Bowl and how well he performed there, it gives them hope that he can make that transition. But it's just simply something we just don't know. So, it really is in a lot of ways still a guessing game. And there's a lot of big names still out there that we're going to see picked coming up here, Dan, whether it's Jacob Eason out of Washington, who played in a pro-style system, or Jalen Hurts that played in a more pro-style system in Alabama, and then more of an air raid system with Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma. How is that going to translate to the next level as well? It'll be interesting to see.
Last hour, we broke the story that Chris Sims, the former NFL quarterback, he was first approached in the same offseason as you to be on The Bachelor. He believes he was approached first, and he said no, he couldn't because John Gruden, he said, would kill him if he did. Does that bother you as a quarterback or as just a handsome guy that Chris Sims might have been approached before you to be on The Bachelor?
Well, I mean, ultimately, it makes me feel like sloppy seconds for ABC first and foremost.
You seem shaken. You seem shaken by this revelation.
Yeah, no, I mean, I might. I'm gonna make a few phone calls.
Okay, all right.
I might have to sit out the second round tonight and just try to get over that before I can recover for the third round. I mean, not only am I jealous that Chris Sims was a lefty and could throw tremendous velocity, but now on top of that, I just come to realize I was playing second fiddle to ABC all along in that process. 14 years after it's happened. At least I guess I get some clarity and some finality now to this whole thing.
But see, this is ABC. They bring us The Bachelor, right? And you're working for ABC tonight. I mean, you got to have mixed emotions about this, Jesse.
Yeah, and and it's just, I'm trying to wear different hats here.
Yeah.
All for the same network, but at some point you can only juggle so much.
Former NFL, USC quarterback. He's Mark Sanchez. Showtime Sports teamed up with former NFL quarterback Mark Sanchez, a new digital series of in-depth, engaging conversations he had with Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Herbert, and Jordan Love. It's called Intangibles, presented by Fourth and Forever, released this week on Showtime Sports' YouTube channel. Mark also served as a Super Bowl correspondent on Inside the NFL on Showtime this past season. And Mark joins us now. And whoa, look at that mustache. Whoa, is that a quarantine mustache here?
Quarantine mustache. My mom thinks I look like Pancho Villa.
You do. If you had one of those sombreros on, or a 70s quarterback, you look like.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It wasn't as bad as I thought. And once my kid got into it, I know they were talking about playing the guitar, but I need my co-star with me. I got a 3-year-old son.
Yeah, we
And,
heard that you've been practicing guitar, so I thought that maybe we roll this out.
we got to do it. We'll do it in the next couple of weeks. We'll
Okay.
work on the song, but he loves that Old Town Road song. And I'm literally carrying him into like media day at Super Bowl, and he sees Lil Nas X.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, no offense to him, I didn't know what he looked like because I hadn't seen the music video. I just knew the song. And my son's the one, this 3-year-old boy goes, Dada, Old Town Road, staring at him and pointing at him. And I'm like, well, don't point because that's rude, but who are you pointing at?
All right, what do you take? Let me start with Jordan Love going to the Packers because this wasn't a value pick. They went up to get him. How would you feel if you're Aaron Rodgers?
The same way Favre probably felt. It's difficult, but at the same time, I said this leading up to the draft, that a perfect place for either Herbert or Jordan Love was a place like New Orleans or Green Bay, where you have an established starter. So there shouldn't be any question as in that organization or outside that organization. I know the media will make it bigger than it needs to be, but Aaron Rodgers is the clear-cut starter for as long as he wants to be. And until his play declines, which I don't see happening anytime soon, I mean, he's still got another 5+ years if he really wants to. You know, he's one of those Tom Brady kind of guys who could do it for as long as he wants.
But then why do it, Mark?
Well, I think you're grooming your next guy because you want to get – they love Aaron so much, in my opinion. They want to get some of the best of Aaron out of or injected into Jordan Love, and he needs to be around him because Jordan Love, to be completely frank, I don't think, in my opinion, that he's ready to go into an NFL locker room and go on that field and start day one, especially with an off season like this. That just makes it even worse for somebody like that because you can damage his confidence and ruin him for the rest of his career. So, especially a franchise like that, a storied franchise where the quarterbacks are pretty solid, you got to give him a chance to learn from someone like that. And Aaron benefited from that. And it was actually Aaron's Instagram last night. Favre was like joking about it before, you saw that?
Yeah. Wait, he wasn't joking 15 years ago.
Yeah, I was like, dang. And then it really happened. I was like, oh God, it's going to be weird on the outside, but I think Aaron will have learned from that situation that he was in and hopefully, take him under his wing or at least have the professional courtesy to help him out from time to time. I'm not saying he has to just completely give up his job because that's Aaron's job, but this is the best situation for Jordan Love, I really think. And somewhere like New Orleans would have been great too, where you have a guy, like I said, who's an established starter. You don't have to worry about anything.
It's called Intangibles, presented by Fourth and Forever. You sat down with Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Herbert, and Jordan Love. You're talking about intangibles, and I bring this up when it comes to trying to assess who's going to be able to make that next leap into the NFL. They all have talent. Everybody's got a great highlight reel. It's Tom Brady. He doesn't have, the physical gifts as much as he has the intangibles. Drew Brees the same way. You can say Peyton Manning. Like, what is it that you're looking for, Mark, with these intangibles, with these young quarterbacks?
Well, I think some of it is just mental toughness. What have they been through? What experience have they had, and have they bounced back from, good or bad? Also, that's part of their self-confidence. Just watching their tape and speaking the language with them. What can I try and walk them down a road to correcting themselves? Are they their own toughest critic? Things like that keep guys going for a long time in this league and keep you around for many years. But I think there's a little bit of that in all three of these guys. But like you said, they're all big enough. They're all strong enough. They're all fast enough. Yeah, sure. Some guys are a little bigger, a little stronger, a little faster than the others, but they've all got something. Now it just depends on where you land. And to be totally honest, positioned perfectly is somebody like Jordan Love, because he's going to reap the benefits, just like Patrick Mahomes. People are comparing his tape to Patrick Mahomes for a reason. There's freaky arm talent. He throws some amazing balls, but he also leaves you scratching your head sometimes like, well, what are you doing? What was that? Why there or why now? And every quarterback's done that. But when you string a couple of those together in one season, like he had last year, granted, he lost 9 starters, coaching change, offensive scheme change, that's fine. But that was a lot of interceptions for college at Utah State. So what did Patrick Mahomes do his last year at Texas Tech? He threw a lot of picks too, a lot. And so they get him behind Alex Smith for a year, one of the best at taking care of the football, one of the best at understanding how his feet and progressions and everything is a part of timing. They all tie in together, how to get through your progressions with Andy Reid, who's now been validated as a great coordinator, even though we've known that forever. Then what happens? Now you cut them loose after a year of just figuring things out, just examining, taking in information like a sponge, just soak it all in. And that's what you can potentially have. And if Jordan Love has any sense to him, which I think he does after sitting down with him, he's just going to be, without being, an annoying little brother, he's got to be Aaron Rodgers' little brother and just watch him. How does he watch tape? Why are you looking at that? Ask questions without, pissing the guy off. Figure out what he's doing right, what he's doing wrong, and just he can't buy enough notebooks and pencils right now.
That's great.
That would be my first investment if I just learn from the guy, because he's one of the best of all time.
But if I look at this, Jordan Love's not going to play this year. I hope Tua doesn't play this year. We know Joe Burrow is going to play. But then that brings me to Justin Herbert, and I don't think he's ready to play right now either. You got Tyrod Taylor, but I wonder how quickly, in the old days, if you're drafted this high, as you're going in and now you play. Right. And as Brady told me years ago, if I had played right away, I'd be out of the league. I needed to understand how to slow the game down, all of those things. If you're the Chargers, what do you do with Justin Herbert?
Here's the problem, and I don't think Chargers fans are going to love this. They got a new stadium. It's a big media market. They're competing with the Rams constantly. The Rams just went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, so they need to sell jerseys, sell tickets. There's this other factor, this other force, right? This driving force of, a monetary force, right? And so they're going to push. There's going to be pressure to play this kid if Tyrod Taylor goes 3 and out a couple times in a row. I guarantee it. Just because he was drafted so high, just because when you see him in training camp, I guarantee there's going to be highlights all over the news channels talking about, wow, did you see that ball? And look at how great his feet are. And he's so big. And I mean, you look at him, you fall in love with the kid. It's unbelievable, his physical attributes. He's 6'6" and ran a sub 4.7. It's freaky now. So there's going to be pressure to play him. My only advice to Anthony Lynn, who is our running backs coach in New York with the Jets, just give him some time, man. Let him marinate. Let him sit in the oven. Take him out when he's ready, and not a minute too soon, or else you might spoil it.
How many times and you're playing against Brady twice a year in the AFC East. Did you ever look over or watch him on the field and go, how in the hell is he doing this?
So during the time, he was still building some of that. He obviously had that aura around him. And, there's like as a competitor, you're like, you want to beat his ass. You're not like, I'm not in this to, just wow at somebody. I want to go kick this guy's ass. But knowing what he's done and seeing him come back in games, like I'm telling you, I don't know if I had any nails left after that, after the divisional game in Foxborough, because they're starting to mount a comeback. Like we hit them hard early, got them down early, and it's 28-14. But I mean, we're talking with 3 minutes left, that thing can flip quick. They could score 17 points fast. So you just have so much respect for the guy that in some ways you're terrified, and in other ways you just want to go beat him, So it's
but there's nothing, but Mark, you're not watching Mahomes play quarterback. You're not watching Aaron Rodgers play quarterback. You're not watching Lamar. Like, I'm looking at a guy who looks like a normal guy playing quarterback. Physically looks normal, but he's abnormal. Why?
It's between his ears, man. He's figured it out. He's supremely confident, and he a lot like the military, these guys get in these very difficult situations, but they know exactly what to do. They have a process, they have a checklist, and he can do it so quickly. And he has this mental Rolodex of, coverages and blitzes and pressures that he's seen before, and he can immediately pull it up without having to go through, like certain people, you got to, okay, was that 2 weeks ago, 2 years ago? Which AFC championship game was that? No, he'll know. I guarantee you right away. Yeah. Hey, 2014 versus the Broncos in the playoffs on the road, blah, blah, blah. I guarantee he knows that. And that's what's made him so good. He also, you can tell when you've been in the same system for a long time, Dan, when you have 5 options, you're not necessarily going through all 5 options. It's almost the guys who can process the quickest are the ones who know, okay, I'm definitely not going to him. I'm not going to him either. Now I'm down to 3. And if there's any pressure, I have a contingency plan. I know exactly where to go. If everything goes to crap, I know exactly where to go. And that's been his thing. And then even when there's nowhere to go, he falls down. And that is one of the hardest things to do. I'm telling you,
you're right.
He'll give somebody a gift. He'll give somebody a gift in the 8th row and just sail one almost out of the stadium. But he doesn't care because he knows there's a bigger goal in mind. I don't need that one play to beat you, but that one play could lose the game for us.
Well, that's what Nick Saban brought up, because I said, what concerns you? And he said, because Tua never gives up on a play. And I said, like if Tom and Peyton didn't have anything there, they would just fall in the fetal position. Right. You know, Russell Wilson is in between. He'll extend a play, but he'll get out of he's smart. If I was one of these athletic quarterbacks, mobile quarterbacks, I'd just say, study Russell Wilson, because he picks his spots, when to run, when to slide, when to get out of bounds. Brady is just, hey, nothing there, I'm going down. That's it.
Exactly. And I guarantee you a lot of that for Russell Wilson, where he's learned that, and even his demeanor on the field, like constantly positive, that's so Pete Carroll. And after being around Pete for so long, he reminds you every single meeting when you start the year in training camp, he holds a football and he says, it's all about this. He says, when you hold this, you hold the hopes and dreams and aspirations of the entire franchise. Everything from the guy cooking the food in the cafeteria to the guy washing your dirty jock. This is the most important thing in our entire universe. Is that clear? It's all about the ball. That's it. So he knows, hey, man, I can't take hits and lose the football. I can't give the ball to the other team. And that's one of the hardest things to do, is to give up, to say uncle on the field when you're so competitive. I mean, it's easier to try and make, and I told Jordan Love this, I said, don't make me chicken salad out of chicken crap. I can't do that. If it's over, sail it. And it's hard.
That's great advice. It's called Intangibles, presented by Fourth and Forever, and it's released this week on Showtime Sports YouTube channel. Mark Sanchez, Pancho Villa, the former NFL USC quarterback. Do you joke at all with Pete Carroll about when you were coming out, he didn't want you to come out, and he said he would have, like he was going to throw himself in front of the door, that he wouldn't let you out of USC to go pro? Can you joke about that now?
We actually talked about it a little bit, but the day of, when it happened, when it actually happened, so the night before, I don't know if I said it on this show or somewhere, but the night before, he was in my apartment at school, and we had In-N-Out Burger at till 2 a.m, and we were just talking about life, talking about football, talking about our families and everything, and he's like, literally, like when he leaves, he just kind of like, hey, listen, I'm not going to agree with you tomorrow, but I want you to do well. Like, I support you. I don't agree with what you're doing. I would say that to my kid, if he was you or whatever. And so I understood. Well, it just came across so poorly. And then there's like the picture in the LA Times where he's like walking off, and I'm kind of like, are we shaking hands or what? And then, so it just the optics of it looks so bad.
Yeah, they did.
And then I remember we left school, everything had ended. I kind of felt like a weird vibe in the room in the press conference, and then it just blew up. And, this is 2009, so Twitter's starting to take off. And I mean, it just it exploded. And I remember him calling me, and he goes, golly, what the heck is going on? I just said I disagree with you. I didn't say I don't like you or I don't support you. Like, I said, Coach, don't even worry about it.
I'm looking at the picture. It looks like you don't know each other. And if you do, exactly. You hate each other.
It looks like 2020 passing some quarantine. Like, get away from me.
Oh,
it's weird.
Great appearance. Great to have you on, Mark. Thank you very much. And good luck with Showtime Sports.
Appreciate it, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. That's Mark Sanchez. That's good stuff.
Regular buffalo, honey sriracha, dry rub, I think. Yeah. I feel guilty having these in the Danettes or at home, probably having a tuna salad or something.
I feel less so. I don't feel bad about it. I'm actually over.
Well, the camera's rolling.
Oh.
No. This is all made on the Traeger grills. Alan did a great job coming up with the sauces.
Yeah, he threw some sriracha.
Tyler did a decent job of watching the. Like, it's not a hard job to watch the Traeger. Tyler always goes, "Hey, I did a great job on the Traeger, didn't I?" I go, "Yeah, you turned it on. You turned it on." Tyler mails it in.
Go around the room. What we learned on the program. Back left, Todd Fritz. What'd you learn?
I think we all learned this. The year Jesse Palmer became the Bachelor, Chris Sims was also asked to do it before him.
Wow. Once again, we're trying to get a second source aside from Chris Sims. McLevin.
Heck of a run for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it was. It was good while it lasted. And, once again, we wish Tom the best of luck with that. Seton O'Connor.
You absolutely ruined Jesse Palmer's weekend.
I think I did. I think I crushed his spirits there.
Yep.
Paulie, what'd you learn today?
The Colts liked love. They didn't love love.
I think they love love. They just didn't love love the way the Packers love love. What did I learn, Todd?
Chris Sims doesn't like the Pack taking Jordan Love. Aaron Rodgers only 35. They should have picked a defensive tackle.
What we learned brought to you by LegalZoom. They make it easy to set up the right estate plan without leaving your home. Take care of your family today. The right estate plan at LegalZoom.com. We'll recap the draft and the next episode of the Bulls documentary on Monday with Reggie Miller. Thanks for joining us. Safe weekend.